because I'm driving. But one of the things that I want to talk to you about is we were talking about learning and how to learn last night. We didn't cover that topic. The sun is bright. I'm on my way to Indianapolis for a work conference. But, you know, what I'm finding, and it's something I try to avoid, is a lot of misinformation that is often perpetuated in Facebook groups. And what I also find about this information is that people don't like it when you tell them that they're wrong, or that, you know, maybe something isn't according to the tradition, where you're going to see a lot of mismatching, a lot of blending together of things that possibly shouldn't be. And see, my thing is, I don't have to sit and watch it. It makes me kind of sad, because there is information out there. I learned just like everybody else has the ability to learn. I did the research. I did the work. And I had people who were very, very well-researched and intelligent around me. Yeah, I am. I just got it. I'm watching the road. I just have time. So, you know, I'm out here by myself too, pretty much. So I'm not going to look at the camera. So y'all can forgive me. Keep my eyes on the road. But, you know, my daughter is in the car with me asleep. So, you know, I don't have any company right now. But, you know, what I find is there's a lot of drama in a lot of these groups. We talked about it last night about how I was in a particular group a long time ago where they were doing all kinds of curses and things on people and asking other people to do work on people that they didn't even know. And so what I'm finding is, you know, people really want good, solid information. By all means, I am not the beginning and the end of hoodoo, voodoo, or any magical practice. But what I like to do is I like to be responsible. I like to give people information that is as accurate as I can believe that it is. But remember, you all, this is man. There's going to be a lot in magic that works by spirit. Some of the things that don't work by spirit, this wind is a bitch out here, y'all. Woo! And I'm in this little bitty baby car. Things that don't work by spirit, you can't be initiated by spirit. No. You can't change the magical properties of a root just because that's what you want to use and that's what's available. Root work is about using what you have and having the knowledge to use the substitutes. The thing is there's not a lot of people available that are going to teach this to you. There's not going to be people that pass this down. If you were born into a family that shares this with you, God bless you. I think that is just the most amazing thing. And I know for me and mine and my family, I will always teach anyone who's interested. But I didn't have that luxury. My mother didn't practice. My mother didn't even go to church. She wasn't a Christian. She believed in God, but she wasn't necessarily religious. And my grandmother did things like astrology and the things that we do traditionally as black people that's now considered to be hoodoo. And she went to a worker. She went to a reader and a psychic. But at the same time, I didn't get to watch people coming in and out the house and her doing spells for people. Oh my God, I'm passing the town where my grandmother, the original Big Liz, was born. It's so cool to be back in the place of my ancestors and being able to go to the places where they lived and died. But I'm on my way to Indiana, so I'm pushing all the way through. But I promise one day I'm going to go to where my grandmother was born. I'm going to take dirt from where she was born, because she was cremated and I don't have her ashes, but I at least can have some dirt from where she was born. So, you know, a lot of us have to depend on non-traditional methods to learn this magic. And that does end up with people mixing orishas with wawa, with hoodoo, with voodoo. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, just like this, the boo-boo, whatever works for you, go on, do it. But, you know, don't say that anybody didn't try to tell you that something wasn't so. You've got a lot of people in these groups. And, you know, when I first started out, I assisted in admitting a group with my mentors. And when I didn't know something, I always had someone to fall back on to ask them, hey, is this what I should be saying to people? Because people look to you to be a teacher even sometimes when you're not experienced. And that can lead to a very large level of irresponsibility. You know, and when I was ready to go on my own, people don't realize, and I think it was a short time. Oh, people, a fool, what is that Proverbs? A fool withstands correction. Okay? And people certainly don't like getting back what they give to others. I experienced that today earlier. You know, you do something to somebody, but when I turn around and do the same thing to you, oh, I'm coming at you now. Nobody has time for that. I'm too old for that shit. But, you know, so I try to stay like in my little corner. And if people want to learn something, and I offer classes, I will do questions and answers for people. You know, I don't do a lot of magic for people because, number one, I think that's the praise of a priestess. And I'm not, okay? I also think that magic is much more powerful when you do it yourself. So I think that my mission is currently, at this point in my life, is to tell people what I know, tell people what works for me, tell people what I've found to be quote unquote traditional. Remember, this is his story. It may not even be her story. So we could all be doing all this shit wrong. But I don't know. You know, I do believe that there is a such thing as truth, and I believe that there's a such thing as facts, and I believe that there's such thing as tradition, and I believe in my religion. So I would be foolish to doubt any of those things. So what I'll teach you is what I know to be true. You know, we all could die tomorrow and it'd be nothing but ether. You know, well then, okay, well, I won't know better. But if there is a chance that there is an afterlife, that I will eventually become an elevated ancestor, I know that it is solely dependent on my behavior in this dimension. And so there are a lot of things that I'm working on personally, as we all should, to be better people, to be more responsive to people who need us. You know, that's why I said last night when I ended Facebook Live, I said, look, if you see somebody who needs something, give it to them. You know, not everybody that you give something to is going to either respect you or like you. That's another hard lesson that I had to learn. I don't ever do anything expecting something in return, unless, of course, the contract has been negotiated previously. You know. But at the same time, when you find that people are not going to treat you the way that you would treat them, and you should always behave in a manner, in a way you wish to be treated. And me, I might come a little hard at people sometimes, but, you know, I'm a big girl. I can take it. You know, I wouldn't expect anything less, especially if I was on some foolishness and out here leading people on with false information, and my godmother came and pulled my coat about it, or if I was out here mistreating somebody and doing somebody wrong, and somebody was like, hey, I've had a couple of times where somebody said, you know what, you went off and you shouldn't have. And yeah, okay. And I say, I'm sorry. So the bottom line is this, you know, there are a lot of groups on Facebook, but I'm going to tell y'all about this whole online. There is no community, first of all. I keep talking about this conjure community. What I have encountered, and I've seen it this week, I try to stay away from all of that, because my introduction to being a root worker and a voodoo sant was very difficult due to certain people that didn't like me, didn't want me to succeed, were jealous, and were willing to lie on me. And I used to internalize that. But like I told you guys last night, there is real value in, instead of wishing ill on somebody, praying that they're blessed, wishing encouragement on them, all of my spells, if I have to do a reversal or something like that, or a hexing, I always put a caveat in it that if they're willing to get their shit right, it's taken off. So, you know, I just find it better to wish people well. I find it better to encourage people to do better, to be better, because I just don't even understand it. I mean, I think at the basis of all of this, and I gotta keep my eyes on the road, that we all want to be better people. We want to be happy. And I don't know, maybe it's mental illness, maybe it's a spiritual possession. And I also believe that there is a spiritual component to mental illness, as well as a medical component. Because spirituality is just our personification of nature and science, and how everything works around us, and the grasping of things that we have no understanding of. You know, we really, you know, I guess maybe somebody that's a really, really, really highly skilled scientist knows what creates thunder. But for the layman, we just know that thunder is and what thunder does. So, you know, everybody's going to have their opinions. People are going to tell you that you're wrong. You may be wrong. You may be right. But I don't get tied up in all these people. I've had so many people who are considered to be big names in this business, emailing me, trying to get me involved in this dispute and that dispute. And I think because of the nature of the way people have behaved online, that people think that when you are direct and you are talking to them and letting them know what's up, that you're trying to belittle them or undermine them, when all you're trying to do is let them know, hey, this is what it is. Some people have a cognitive dissonance where they don't want to acknowledge that the things that they've always believed are simply not true. It's hard. It's hard. People have a problem getting over being corrected. And yes, I think that I know there are a lot of people that have magical talents that also struggle with mental illness. I've struggled with depression all my life. It's in our genetics. But, you know, and so we're a little bit special. It's kind of funny, though, because maybe we're not the ones who are mentally ill after all. Maybe everybody else is. But I've also seen people who don't know what to do with their gifts, and they definitely use them in improper ways. And I think it's because their gifts are actually making them crazy. You know, and but the people that I've seen that are just like so, you know, chill and zen and a blessing to people, you know, they've always acknowledged their gifts. They've always behaved with a certain level of humility. You know, I explain to people that as a reader, I'm a psychic, and a psychic for me is to receive messages from spirit to give to somebody. I don't ever think that it's coming from me. Now, sometimes I'll give somebody some common sense advice. That could come from me, but that also comes from the ancestors, because the ancestors who are now ancestors, they raised me. And they taught me things to be a mature and responsible adult. And, you know, I can't be everybody's mentor, nor do I want to be. But I do, you know, I can only share what I know. And then sometimes I find out that I'm wrong. I wrote a blog post about my whole 180 on root work and hoodoo. And I owned my stuff. I owned my past post. I even linked it in the blog and let y'all know, hey, I was on some mess. I was wrong. It's okay to be wrong. And I think that it's really good, I don't care what age you are, to continue to grow, to continue to learn, and most of all, be able to accept correction and be able to understand that if somebody is actually taking the time to say something to you about it, that means they care. Because if they don't care about you, they ain't gonna say nothing. They're just gonna let you keep looking foolish. And so I think that if there was a character flaw that I need to work on, is that I need to let people, hold on, I'm gonna shift my phone. I need to let people be foolish. You know, sometimes you think that you can help somebody, and I have run into this so many times in my life where I felt like I could help somebody by doing something for them, when in fact, I think I crippled them. I enabled them. And so it's really hard when you have a giving spirit with information, with material possessions, with words of wisdom, to sit back and not say anything, you know? But, you know, I've learned more and more. And even when somebody comes to you, even when you stay out of a situation, they come to you and they still don't like what you have to say to them. You know, I do that a lot now too. I think that I'm going to have to do that some more. You know, sometimes you just got to let people see what they need to see on their own and step away. Sit back in the cut. See what's going to happen. You know? And I think that's something that we need to look at in life, as well as get into these arguments in Facebook groups, because I know, and then it's on Facebook in general, the folks is a trip. And I just lose so much time dealing with people and their issues because they assume you've said something a certain way, because we don't have the ability to have inflection in our voice when we're typing something. And people just assume that you're acting a certain way. Especially, I think that assertiveness can be mistaken for aggression, or confidence can be mistaken for arrogance. So you have to be real careful. You have to be real clear with what you say to people. And sometimes it just doesn't mean that much to me. It's just not that important. I've got too much to do as far as my magic is concerned, but even more so as my life is concerned, because I enjoy my life. I'm happy with my life. I have crafted a life for myself. That does not mean that at times in my life I have not had a difficult time. That doesn't mean that now I don't have difficult days and difficult times. But I don't claim those. So, you know, people get a lot of wrong impressions from people online. People think that people are doing so much better than them financially or in their relationships because people don't talk about that stuff online. And honestly, I'm going to tell y'all, I delete people every day that constantly put their business in the street for everybody else to see. Because there's a couple things that I know as a worker. Number one, the biggest thing is people will use your weaknesses against you. Okay? Secondly, people will enjoy your sorrow. Unhappy people, misery loves company. Okay? So, you know, you have to get a trusted crew. And those people will fluctuate. That's another thing you need to know. People are going to disappoint you. Friendships are going to end. You know? I've walked away from a lot of folks because I just, you know, it's like they flip the script on you. And you're like, what the fuck just happened here? So, you know, you have to just not worry about human beings. Worry about yourself, like the little girl says. Worry about yourself. Worry about your spirit. Let your spirit shine through, not in flossing and posting pictures of your work. People, stop doing that. Stop posting pictures of your work. Stop posting pictures of your altars. This is not a game. This is not for show. This is not for fun. Okay? I think I have an exit that I'm going to have to get to in a minute. So I might continue this with you all after I check my directions or later on when I get to my hotel. But understand that this is deeply personal work, and it should remain that way. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. Bye.